Happy Halloween and welcome back. Today we're going to be ranking candy not just off my own personal tier list, but also on its nutritional value. We're going to be using two different systems, an A through F system for the nutritional value and an S to F system for my own personal tier. So we're going to be using everybody's favorite, a tier list, except our nutrition tier list is going to start at D and only go down because none of this crap is worth more than a D. So we're going to start off with the Snickers bar. At 1.5 grams of saturated fat, 8 grams of added sugar, and 1 gram of protein, this might actually be one of the healthier options on the list. So that being said, nutritional tier, we're going to put this at a D minus. That's where this is going to go. For my own personal tier, I really like Snickers. I really like the peanut butter, the nougat stuff. I don't eat this. I haven't had one of these in a very long time. But on my own personal tier list, I'd probably put this at an A, solid A. The next one here, and the most controversial of all Halloween candies, candy corn. At no fat, no protein, and 22 grams of added sugar, unfortunately, candy corn gets F minus, minus, minus. And quite frankly, if you're someone who eats candy corn, you might actually not be mentally sane. Have you ever met somebody who actually eats candy corn in your whole life and wasn't a complete weirdo? So on my personal tier list, all that being said, I haven't had candy corn since I was a little kid and I hated it. It's gonna be S tier because when you think Halloween, you think candy corn. It is the ultimate Halloween candy, no matter how disgusting it is, and I'll never eat it, and you should never eat this because this is garbage, but it's S tier. Next one, peanut M&Ms. At 5 grams of saturated fat, 23 grams of added sugars, it's gonna get put in the F minus minus category. It was almost in the F minus 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 category, but we do get 5 grams of protein with this, so that is pretty solid. Based off my own personal tier list, I'm even more of a fan of the caramel M&Ms and maybe even the chocolate M&Ms, but I would give peanut M&Ms solid B. Solid B on the tier list. They're pretty good, although don't eat them. The next one here, and my favorite candy bar as a kid, Milky Ways. At 2 grams of saturated fat and 9 grams of added sugar, pretty much almost identical to our Snickers bar, but less than a gram of protein in this is gonna knock it down a tier. This is D minus minus, unfortunately. My own personal tier, Milky Ways are gonna be an S. I really loved Milky Ways growing up, really my favorite candy bar. Is it the best candy bar ever made? Probably. Next up, and one of my favorites, Kit Kats. At 4.5 grams of saturated fat and 14 grams of added sugar, is going into the F category. It's a little too much and not enough protein back for the reward. On my own personal tier list, Kit Kats, again, was one of my favorite candy bars growing up. I was really a big fan of Kit Kats. So I'm gonna put this in the A category because I really like Kit Kats, even though I probably haven't had one in about 10 years, but they're pretty good. Next up here, Sour Patch Kids. No fat, 24 grams of added sugar per serving, and no protein. Unfortunately, Sour Patch Kids is going to give us an F minus minus. This is probably one of the worst things you could possibly eat. On my own personal tier list, I'll say that Sour Patch Kids are disgusting. These are some of the grossest candies I've ever had. I hate Sour Patch Kids. I never liked them even when I ate candy. They're disgusting. So on my tier list, it's actually going to get an F because I do not like Sour Patch Kids. And if you don't like me, well then you're wrong. Next up here, the old man snack, Twizzlers. It literally offers nothing but 11 grams of added sugar, but it's for 4 pieces. So for this one, we're only gonna give this a D minus minus minus. On my own personal tier list, I'd probably give Twizzlers like a solid C minus. Like, I don't think they're bad. I especially think you can acquire a taste for them as you get a little bit older. But a solid C minus minus. Was never a huge fan of them, but if you give me one, I'll eat it. I mean, not anymore. Not anymore. Okay, listen, I get it. How could I possibly put Sour Patch Kids below something as disgusting as candy corn? But you gotta move on. It's done. It's over. Let's move on to the next one. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. At 4.5 grams of saturated fat and 21 grams of added sugar, it's going into the F minus minus category. And that's only because it gives us 4 grams of protein, which is not solid, but at least it's protein. On my own personal tier list, give it a nice solid C. It was never my favorite growing up, but I was never gonna say no to one. So yeah, it's gonna be a solid C. Next up, Hershey Kisses. That's 6 grams of saturated fat and 16 grams of added sugars. Unfortunately, these are gonna get put in the F- category. They do give us 2 grams of protein, but they're still bad for you. On my own personal tier list, I was always a fan as a kid of putting like Hershey Kisses in my mouth and kind of letting them melt and then eating them after they melt a little bit. So honestly, for me, Hershey Kisses, A tier. I really do like Hershey Kisses. Last but not least here is the Hershey's milk chocolate at 4.5 grams of saturated fat and 12 grams of added sugar. Does get put into the F- category, even though it does give us 2 grams of protein back. Personal tier list, again with the Hershey Kisses, I was a big fan of just kind of letting these melt in my mouth and then eating them afterwards. So it is going into A tier. It's a solid candy, but do not eat it. In fact, don't eat anything. Don't eat anything on this list. Eat none of it. Go buy some protein bars or something, or protein cereals. Don't eat this candy. This candy is full of sugar. This is a nice one-way ticket to Diabetesville, which you can pay me money to help you get out of. Okay, so comment down below what your favorite Halloween candy is that you're definitely not going to eat. And during the making of this video, I promise you that no candy was eaten. And some honorable mentions are 3 Musketeers and other things I can't remember off the top of my head. So with that being said, if I get 2,000 likes on this video, I will eat a piece of candy. And if I get 5,000 subscribers on this video, I'll eat 2 pieces of candy. Happy Halloween.